Hello everybody, welcome to episode 5 part 2 of It's All About the CX. You're joined with me, Barry Rafferty, and John Foley, of course, as usual. Before we introduce today's guest, I just want to quickly say, look, thank you very much for the feedback that we had from our last video and podcast with Fergal. Some great feedback from people just dropping in some messages, and I know off the back of it, Fergal's had a couple of very high-level conversations with a couple of customers from it. So, look, thank you very much for that. Look, today we're joined by John Wade, and as our conversation unfolds today, you'll understand why John is here with us today. So John is a customer experience expert for the media and entertainment industry. He's a hard man to get a hold of. I know we've been off the air for the last couple of weeks. It's just been a bit hard to tie people down. We're kind of in a really busy time of the year. John's been away. John Foley's been away. John Wayne's
confusing today with two Johns.
It is going to get a bit confusing.
I'm just back from Nashville, so I've got a bit of a tan. The complexion, that's how you can tell the difference.
Maybe we'll just call one John W and one John F.
Yes.
But look, it's great to actually have John Wade with us today. There's a couple of reasons why we wanted John here today with us. He's been very active across different social media environments, pushing our modern customer experience summit, which is happening in London on
November 20th of November, in the Bankside.
There you go, Hilton Bankside.
That's it. Yeah.
So John's actually going to kind of go into a little bit more details towards the end of the podcast in relation to the event, because we've been quite busy over the last couple of weeks promoting it very heavily. We've been talking to customers in relation to it. So look, it is our big event of the year. It's the last one before Christmas. So it's a great opportunity for potential customers to meet like-minded individuals. It's very much following a sales, marketing, and service tracks. There will be some commerce elements to it as well.
Do you know where there are actually places left?
Very limited.
And I think you posted on your LinkedIn, and John, have you posted on your LinkedIn?
I definitely posted on my LinkedIn.
So if you go to either our LinkedIn's, click on it, reserve your place, do it now, because
yeah, definitely. Look, or send us a direct message, Barry Rafferty or John Wade or John Foley. We can actually get you registered up for it. So look, it is a great opportunity. So
yes, look, there's also just one other piece on that is the executive lunch. So
yes.
The executive lunch is probably the most exciting part for a lot of people, because it's a chance to sit down with our executive leadership, as well as be shoulder to shoulder with some of our current customers, as well as some of the product experts that have flown over from the US. So it's one of those kind of rare opportunities, and everyone points to a nice lunch. So
a nice lunch. Look, you get to mix with your peers. It's a fantastic event, held in a fantastic venue. So look, we'll go more into it
of course.
towards the end of the podcast. So look, thanks very much, John, for joining us here today. I'm going to pass you over to our quiz master.
Sure. Before I start, so John, you are in media and publishing, is that correct?
So I look after the media and entertainment industry for the mid-market to commercial sector for the UK. So within that, I've got broadcasting, I've got out-of-home advertising, radio, TV, newspapers, book publishing. So it's quite a
One of the place Barry's list.
That covers an awful lot.
So we cover quite a broad vertical, so to speak.
Excellent. And it's CX?
Customer experience.
That's what it's all about, right?
Well, it is all about the CX.
Excellent. So what we're going to do today is we're just going to ask a few questions like we did to Fergal beforehand.
Yep.
So we're going to start off with kind of my own background as well, because I come back from a marketing perspective.
Sure, yeah.
So when I was first starting my career, I was speaking to my marketing manager at the time, and I was a digital marketing executive. and I asked, where should I go with my career to my manager? And she said you should go into sales because salespeople traditionally had a stronger voice when it came to board level. So there's a better chance of getting on a board and making decisions. But as I see it now, CMO, the role has changed, but there's more responsibility. Am I right in saying that, or what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, no, 100%. So according to the Future of CMOs, which is a report that's just been released by eMarketer,
Okay.
the role of the CMO has changed completely. So it's no longer just about awareness and acquisition. They've now taken on full responsibility for the life cycle of the customer, which is of course the customer experience. And they're also getting far more involved in product strategy as well as commercial strategy,
Okay.
which we think is super exciting as a role shift. And is that down to changing environments? Is it, the experience economy as a service market? Are these things that you're seeing within the media and entertainment industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So the experience economy is 100% what's driving this requirement for customer experience, but it's also the availability of data. So when we speak with marketing teams, they come to us and they say, right, well, we've got all of this data on our customers, but how do we use that data? How can we commercialize that data to create it as a value add to bring back to our customers and how they can then reach their audiences? So really, that's what's driving this, is how do we take that data, use that data, and of course that's going to inform more conversations within the business. It's bringing marketing right into those business strategy conversations, and of course the commercial strategy conversations as a direct result of that.
And I think that's a really strong point, because again, one of the old adages that haunted marketers was the idea that the problem is half my marketing spend is wasted. The only problem is I don't know which half. And as a marketer, as a CMO, you really don't want to get that back in your face. So is it important about using the data, or how they're using the data, or what are you seeing there that CMOs can actually leverage something to actually justify the reason of their spend?
Yeah, so that's a really good point. So another set of findings, let's call it, from the CMO report that eMarketer ran was that obviously traditionally marketers depended on, they were considered a cost center. I hate to call it that, but that's they're considered, right?
Yeah.
John, you were a cost center.
And so, obviously nobody wants to be on the cost side of the business. You want to be on the revenue side of the business. And so marketing is now being told that they're responsible for revenue. And 95% of CMOs will say that they report based on revenue, and yet they still struggle to get access to budget. Okay, so they've got to kind of walk that fine line between managing budget while also being responsible for the revenue of the business. And the question is, well, why? What is that? What's holding them back? Why can't they get access to that budget? Surely, if you're being told you're responsible for the revenue, you come and ask for budget.
Yeah.
They should come hand in hand. And what we're seeing is that marketing is still speaking in terms of click-throughs. So they're speaking in very different kind of language to what the business is speaking. Whereas the CFO and the CEO are still talking in terms of bottom line revenue. Right. And so what CMOs globally are acknowledging is, well, we need to tie our marketing activities to business outcomes, which ties to business objectives, and speak the business language instead of speaking just the marketing language. And so they still have to balance between driving acquisition, driving awareness, but follow that story right through to revenue.
Yeah.
And follow the customer journey, as we call it.
So one of the points you made there just a bit earlier on was about data. I suppose myself and John have had numerous conversations in relation to data, trying to connect the data.
Sure.
Like, how important are the conversations that you're having at the moment with CMOs or with your prospects or potential customers around connecting data? Is that an issue for them? What are they doing to capture it and try actually monetize it?
So that's a really interesting question. every organization has silos. I've said that before. It's not news to anyone here. What's super interesting is that even within a department, there are sub-silos. And I think everyone always forgets that because you've got the social media team is a silo. The marketing automation, drip nurture campaign is a silo. The sign-ups to your webinars, sign-ups to your events, those are silos. Those then get converted to a CSV file, which then gets uploaded to a CRM system. Each of those create micro silos. To say nothing of somebody phoned in to customer service or signed up to an event. And so there are these sub-silos within the actual organizational silos. And I think the business is aware of them, which is amazing. That's an amazing step forward. So now these are known unknowns as opposed to just being unknown unknowns. And the question then is, okay, well, this is now a priority, and it's our priority. How do we then take that step forward?
Exactly. And as well as that, when we think about the silos, we're talking about from within the business. But if I'm a customer and all my information is siloed, then I'm getting an email saying, oh, buy this product. Well, I've just been on the phone to customer care to say I want to return something, and I'm getting all these mixed messages the whole time. Right. So the experience is a disgrace. And I'm now bad-mouthing your brand to John W. and also Barry. So that's the thing that we have to consider. So it's one thing noticing within the business, but it's also what's the end game for the customer.
And that's a really interesting point. So obviously, you look after a lot of consumer brands.
Exactly.
Whereas I look after a lot of commercial B2B type brands. And the story you're telling is a very consumer focused story, right? And yet, the B2B story is actually the exact same. Because when we think about customer experience, we think about it in terms of consumer brands, right? And that experience journey, we think in terms of if I'm buying a pair of shoes or buying a new watch online, we think about that journey and the email campaign that goes with that. And yet, if you think in terms of in a business-to-business relationship, we've just received this overpriced invoice, and now you're marketing a new service to me. The customer journey still applies, and the customer experience through that journey still applies. And so we shouldn't be thinking about CX as just a consumer brand challenge. It applies to B2B, it applies to SaaS, it applies to every organization, regardless of your type of organization. So I just want to make that point because I think
no. I absolutely love this because in the last couple of episodes that we've done, there's been there was a retail focus, and B2B businesses is more my primarily focused, and it's great to hear. So it's a bit it's bringing some balance back to these conversations.
I'm happy to be your balance, or ballast, whichever.
Maybe that's why I was excited getting John in here.
Awesome. I think one of the other things that's super interesting is how marketing can inform product strategy and commercial strategy within an organization, because that really opens up their exposure within the business, their impact within the business, and that's one of the powers of having the data and having access to that data and having those data insights, because then you can go, okay, well, we can go after new markets, we can bring in new products, we can launch new services, we can go after new territories, which is super valuable. And we can even create predictions for the business of these are areas or markets that we haven't gone after yet, but we know we're going to be successful, etc.
You're covering off something really, really well there. What some of the earlier conversations that myself and John Foley have had. Like we keep on kind of going back to it, which is the 360-degree view of a customer, and it's the right hand knows what the left hand is doing at any given time, so that once marketing converts a potential prospect into a customer, what happens then through that flow, and it comes back to what John Foley was saying, like if you're returning a product, and that's the same for a B2B customer. Service needs to know, customer service needs to know. There has to be kind of a flow and a view of it. So really good that you're covering off these elements because it is very important.
But that's a really good point actually, because more and more what we're seeing now is that service reps are also sales reps. So when you're ringing up customer service, you're actually calling sales, which is phenomenal, and that means that the businesses are starting to understand that. And so to kind of take the conversation forward another step, what we're seeing now then is, okay, so the focus is no longer on awareness and acquisition and brand. It still is, but it's more than that. It's now customer centric, and it has to be customer centric because we brought you in. Now we're responsible for you because we need to keep you.
Yeah,
We need to show the love. Where can we show the love? How can we show the love? But we need to show the love, and I think that's where customer centricity comes from.
Upsell.
Yeah, customer doesn't want to know they're being cross-sold.
No, but in saying that, it's, okay, John used the story there when we were speaking to Fergal when he was talking about when he's buying a pair of runners, he would never buy a pair of shoes. Look, I've changed my shoes today. John's still wearing runners.
Yeah, as always.
But he used that as an example, so that if you sell me a pair of shoes, here's a pair of socks to go with it, or do you need a pair of insoles because you've got high arches, or it's giving somebody options and recommendations that they can actually then go, well, I might need that now, but I might need it in a couple of months' time. Or here's a product to help them keep them clean and care for them over a piece of time. So I think being able to provide and give people options, even if they don't have to take them up now, is the fact that that's I didn't know I could use X, or I could grab get Y on top.
Which is where my industry becomes super interesting, right? The media industry, right? Because and this is where that data as a commercial entity becomes a really interesting conversation, because what you've got is these publishing brands who know that you, Barry, have been watching a lot of YouTube videos about
I don't watch it. I don't
about specific medical issues, or high arches, for example, right? Just to go back to the conversation, right? And so we know you've been watching these videos. You've been following these bloggers about how to run with high arches.
Yeah.
And now, as a publisher, I can now put you in a category of audience and put you in front of, say, a special kind of running shoes, say Brooks shoes, for example, right? Who are very, very strong for athletes who need a certain kind of engineered footwear. And so we can go to Brooks and go, hey, this audience have a particular subset and interest, and so now that audience becomes super valuable to that brand.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of really interesting conversations happening around that, and we can get into that later. But I just wanted to, I just love how interest areas can cross over. So it's not even just within one brand. We can have a cross interest across brands. If that makes sense.
No, it does, and I like this is one of the reasons why I wanted you to come in and have a chat with us, because what's going on within the media and entertainment industry is it's very different to what's happening within the retail sector, or what's happening within the travel and transport sector, because the media are looking for different avenues to create different revenue streams, or as John would like to call them, they're looking at different swimming lanes.
Sure.
And I think that's very important, that they're looking at ways that they can use their audience to be able to give them that personalized messaging.
Yeah.
And it's Fergal spoke to us there about being able to market to the power of one in terms of personalization. I think that's for the media and entertainment industry to be able to get down to that granular level will can actually speak volumes to specific brands, whether it's running shoes, it's coffee, or it's tea. It could be somebody's travel, preferences. You look at the moment as well. You've got a huge amount going on within the media and entertainment industry. We've got Brexit. Yeah, I said it again. Okay, we must be talking 20 minutes. It's taking me 20 minutes to actually say Brexit.
Put a euro in the swear jar or a pound, whichever you prefer.
But the potential impact that could have to different advertisers. Looking, I was having a chat with. I had my son at his football last week. I was chatting to one of the dads who works for a large manufacturer, and at the moment they're busy emptying their warehouses of Christmas stock so that they can actually fill up their warehouses for normal stock, because they just don't know what kind of impact Brexit's going to have. So they're just, everybody's, they don't know what to expect.
Sure.
And as well as that, with that all said, again, it's relying on what you can control. And what you can control are your different channels and how you go to market. The external factors like Brexit, we don't have a magic solution to that. But what we do have is a solution to your CX.
But you're dead right.
Yeah.
You're dead right. Yeah.
One thing you brought up, and you mentioned a few times, and again from a marketing perspective, we talk about awareness campaigns, we talk about acquisition campaigns.
Sure. Yeah.
So if I'm a CMO and I want to bring in a new market, or if I want to increase revenues, because now I'm tied to revenue, what can I use, or how can I use? Can I use data for that, or what are your thoughts on that?
So the most important thing is to think holistically about the journey and create engagement and nurture touch points across the entire life cycle. Right? That's what we talk about being customer centric. That's what we're talking about. So whatever strategy you take on, that you're thinking holistically about the entire journey, okay, and how your end user or end customer will engage with your brand, and that your marketing strategy is thinking holistically about, well, once they're in, what are they doing? How are we engaging with them? And how can we change our response to them depending on the action they do or do not take?
And the beauty about that is, I think, once you're collecting all that holistically, then you can start to look at lookalike audiences, I imagine then.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
And then that as well would lead into different regions. So therefore, if you want to expand not only in the market that you're in, is there a case where you can expand to new territories and lead that conversation?
Yeah, so we can do two things, right? So we can do the lookalike marketing, but we can also do intent data.
Okay.
So we can take intent data.
So tell me a little bit about intent data now.
So I think intent data is a really exciting one. So sales intelligence is obviously a whole new interest area from a sales perspective, but it still feeds into what marketing is trying to do, which is what our focus for today's session is. And intent data can inform where marketing focus, right? And intent data is basically what signals are out there that imply consumers or customers are planning to engage with a product. Because we know that 60%, 70%, the figure changes frequently, but 60% or 70% of the research is done before you pick up the phone or get in touch with a brand or a company to say, I want to buy a product, right? Yeah. And that research leaves a digital footprint. Right. That's what we call intent. Okay. So when we talk about intent data, we mean the data that informs that.
So the propensity to buy.
Propensity to buy, exactly. Okay. You know, it falls under different terminology.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
intent data, propensity to buy. Yeah, that's B2B versus consumer, right? But that intent or propensity to buy data can inform marketing. So marketing can say, okay, well, these territories are becoming exciting territories for us. These verticals will potentially become. But you can go really, really granular. You can say, actually, this company that we've never even looked at as a prospect company, and I'm now talking about account-based marketing, right? These companies that we've never targeted before are now really, really spiking. So we should actually start including them in our campaigns. So there's a lot of exciting stuff we can start to do with that.
No, I mean, you're kind of alluding to as well. So Oracle made a recent acquisition, and I know you've been, you've been one of the first consultants on the floor I've seen who's, you've really taken the bull by the horns
Sure.
and kind of taken some ownership of it. So I think it might be, if you could just kind of give us, a quick kind of summary of it, because it's something that myself and John haven't covered off, but the fact that you're bringing in, this whole sales intelligence
Right.
and one of the things I like about this as well is, again, it doesn't matter what CRM you're using. It doesn't matter where your data's been held.
Yeah.
It's a really nice.
So to move forward from what you're saying there, so we've touched on that you have to be holistic, right? The marketing and sales have to work together.
Yeah.
And the marketing is now going to inform sales on what they're going to do.
Sales drug service.
Right. Well, services once the customer is on board, right?
Yeah.
But let's talk in terms of getting somebody in through the front door, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right. Or sales can inform marketing, right? It's very much a two-way street. But the issue can often be on the data side, right? And so Oracle recently acquired DataFox, worth a look up if you aren't aware of DataFox. And so where DataFox is really, really strong on is their firmographic data, so all the data you can get from financial reports. Yeah. Nothing too exciting there, but they're really, really strong on the firmographic data. They're also really, really strong on technographic data, so the actual technology stack that a company has. So you might say, do you know what? Our product or service is a really great fit for companies running Zendesk, for example, right?
Okay.
So, or companies running BlueKai, to use a brand that we own. And so you can say, right, well, let's target companies that are using BlueKai having these issues, and we can really inform a marketing campaign around that. But also, we need the company information because sales are going to need to follow up on this. And so DataFox can really help out by working with your CRM data set, by deduping it, cleaning it, preparing the contacts, preparing the company information, so that once marketing has the campaigns spun up, sales is ready to engage. And that's really how you're going to help marketing and sales to work together.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
One of the biggest users of it would be one of our main competitors in that space. They plug it in, they use it all the time, but we won't go into that too much. Actually, that,
you can take me offline for that one if you need to get more details. I'm more than happy.
So look, what we might do as well is within the post, we'll maybe put a little link in where we can direct you towards some information around DataFox.
Sure.
It's a really clever tool, and in fairness, John has been first consultant within our floor who's just been all over it, and actually you're having some very constructive conversations with customers. And it resonates massively within your industry where they've got huge amounts of data, huge amounts of siloed data, and been able to, dedupe and actually have kind of a source of truth, but also a lot of information and intelligence behind it as well. So.
I mean, there's some other, quite often, we're getting a little bit off topic here, but just to
I'll pull us back. You keep going.
So one of the clients that I'm working with, I obviously can't say who, but one of the clients that I'm working with came to us because they needed to clean up their marketing strategy and clean up their, how they were onboarding new customers and the automation that happened behind that.
Yeah.
But they realized that because of all the silos, their data was in a little bit of a disarray. So they needed to clean it up, they needed to dedupe it. There's no shame in that. Every organization has that problem. 51% of your CRM data is out of date, right? Most people move companies every 2 to 3 years. So it's very standard, it's very normal, and nothing to be ashamed of. So that's where we brought in DataFox. So we ran a data strategy with them first to clean the CRM data, to then inform the marketing and the marketing automation, which, to be honest, that marketing automation that they're talking about is nothing to do with acquisition. It's actually once the customer has said, yes, hi, I want to be a customer of yours, that's actually when the marketing automation kicks off. So really, holistic strategy in play here.
There you go, John. Pull it back, John.
Because again, all of this comes back to the CMO, right? So it all comes back to the CMO bringing these to the attention of the team, and then the team investing wisely on what they should be using.
Yeah.
So with the CMO, what I was hoping is that you could give us perhaps within your vertical.
Sure.
What do they believe is the key to success, or what's the key challenge that they're facing?
Sure. So the reality is that nobody argues that data should be at the center,
Right.
that we should be customer centric. Every CMO knows this already. Every CMO knows that they should be reporting on business outcomes. The challenge is actually having that information to hand, removing those silos, connecting those data, and centralizing that information. Because a lot of the companies that I'm working with have grown through acquisition.
Right.
So they've grown through acquiring 30, 50, 60, 70, a couple of hundred organizations, and each of those organizations have their own data sets, have their own sales and marketing systems. And so removing those silos, and like we talked about earlier, the sub-silos, to have that clean, clear picture. And that's the biggest hurdle for these CMOs, is to actually go, no, I need to take everything that I have, centralize that data, clean that data, and use that data to then inform our business strategies going forward, and then follow the lead to cash the entire way through, so that I know that when we ran that campaign, this company or person engaged, took these actions, bought these products, spent this money, and then you know what, we solved that problem with them when they had all those issues with us, and they renewed. So now I'm also responsible for those renewal numbers and those growth numbers.
Yeah.
And we also upsold them on a couple of products, which were part of this campaign. So now we're really seeing how marketing, sales, and service is tying together. So this isn't some future-focused ambition. It's happening right now, and companies are doing this right now. It's just some companies are faster than others with getting a handle on their data and tying that story together.
And what might be interesting is, like, from a retail perspective, the education piece isn't really needed anymore. The marketers are on board, they understand that this is something they need to do. They're looking at the competitors. Barry, I'll pitch this question to you as well, but in media and publishing, is the education piece, they understand it already, and now it's finding out exactly what the different software does, the different technology do at the moment, or what are your experience within the market?
Yeah, no, I think you're dead right. I think the education is very much there. Everybody's at the races in terms of technology, so it's more about decluttering.
Okay.
There's too many systems.
Right.
There's too many vendors. I mean, there's what was it? The latest report was 30,000 MarTech, and that's just within marketing. That's forgetting sales and service. And the average number of apps per rep is 25, and that's just within the sales organization. So the biggest challenge companies have is the number of applications. And each application is feeding and informing data. So that's I think from what we're seeing, it's not a lack of awareness. It's going, okay, well, we've got the technology, we have the ability to buy the best technology, use the best technology. We just need to work out how to actually bring it all together,
right,
and move ourselves forward, as opposed to just being reactive and reactive.
Yeah.
Are you seeing the same, Barry, or?
So I'm going to kind of take you back maybe to one of probably episode 1 or 2 when we were talking about digital transformation. So you're seeing almost every single company, and even Larry Ellison talked about it in Oracle World, that we went through our own cloud transformation, moving on to our generation 2 cloud autonomous database. But actually our whole all our SaaS applications, whether it's ERP or HCM, and then all the different customer experience applications that we sell. So we've gone through a massive transformation ourselves, but it comes back to every company is going through some form of digital transformation, and there were different parts of that journey. And John hit the nail on the head in terms of you've got everybody's trying to do some simplification of their processes. If you talk to our ERP reps here, like they're talking about simplifying business processes. So if you think about some of the applications that we sell, so if you can take the likes of our CRM and actually be able to dedupe a huge amount of data into one source of truth, that your marketing department has visualization of, that they can actually see through one application what their customers have and maybe the messaging that they should be targeting them with. The sales department can then understand that, okay, well, the life cycle of the product is X. I don't need to talk to these people for 6, 12, 24 months. So if they're buying something as a service again, or if they're buying something that's a tangible, physical asset, but then service, finance, everybody's got that one source of truth. So I think
and you can see how marketing feeds into every single piece of that.
It's across the board. Like when I'm having conversations at the moment, it's more around how can we make life easier? How can we simplify an arduous process? How can we give them back man hours to focus internally on actual business function? So we can, the biggest thing I think that we can do is help people get back time.
And so coming back to the future of the CMO report that I was saying, so CMOs worldwide, right, said that delivering customer experience across all touch points was the ultimate objective.
Yeah.
That's where everyone wants to be. The ultimate blocker to that, which is the question of why can't they just do it, is the lack of integration across all elements of the customer experience is what's holding them back. That's the major stumbling block across all of this. So the ambition is there, the willingness is there, the knowledge is there, the technology is there, the data is there. The barrier is integration, according to the research.
I've got it. It's easy. Just talk to us. We know the answers.
So genuinely, with our software, integration predominantly is not a problem. Is that correct? Is that a fair statement?
I think that's a very fair statement, yeah. I mean, we're talking open APIs, we're talking our integration layers, we're talking our autonomous database, self-repairing. We've heard it covered off hundreds of times before, but I think, if you ignore application level stuff, which is obviously our focus area, but below that, of course, is your integrations and your infrastructure and your autonomous database. I think has to live underneath that.
Yeah, it does. It does, and it sits on our own hardware. It's Intel hardware in our data centers. We plug and play with all the big vendors, Microsoft, VMware. Like you can go onto our marketplace, and I think there is 30,000. Or 3,000, at least 3,000 different hardware vendors or software vendors who work with us. So we are probably the most flexible in terms of your ability to integrate into anything.
And then from the full report and everything we've talked about, for the CMOs out there, is there a key takeaway that you would consider? So is it the data? Is it about getting the right technology, or is it the last point there, the integration? Or at a high level, what do you think people should be focused on? Where should the conversations be? So just one takeaway.
I think based on the data, it's all about the data.
Okay.
To put it as simply and seemingly as cheesy as that, based on the data which has fed all of the research to date, it all comes back to the data, servicing up the data, centralizing the data from all of the silos, from all of the sections of the business, to then inform the business and every process going forward.
And Barry, what was Fergal's quote again about data and one individual? Marketing to the power of one, was that it?
Marketing to the power of one.
I think that's phenomenal. If you can have that on your board, if you're a marketer.
Or a mathematician.
Or a mathematician.
I know. Like, look, that's where, in maybe 2-3 years' time, I think that's where the market is going, and we're certainly seeing that from different conversations we're having with different industries. Look, I'm kind of aware of time. We've probably talked a little bit too, we have an awful lot to cover there.
Yeah, and we definitely explored a couple of interesting rabbit holes as well.
Yeah,
which is always fun.
And look, you've opened up probably a can of worms in terms of Data Fox. I think possibly what we might do is we might do a John Wayne Part 2, and maybe just maybe focus on Data Fox and some of the conversations around that, because it is a super interesting subject. It's very relevant to the data conversation that we keep going back to. And look, I'm going to post in the post John Wayne's LinkedIn profile will be there as well. So look, please feel free to reach out to John as well as myself and John Foley for any questions or any feedback. Lastly, MCX. Tell us more.
MCX, yes. You can definitely watch some of the videos that are currently on my channel. But the high level is it's going to be on in the Hilton Bankside on the 20th of November. It's going to be from 8 to 5, but we think it's going to go on all night as well. so just block out the full 12 hours. So it's a full day schedule. We've got opening keynote talking about the experience economy, which is of course fueling the customer experience and the shifts that we've been talking about today. We've got a couple of interesting people coming in for the customer panel. So we've got Disney coming in talking about using data. So they're going to be talking about their smart wristbands that they use around the Disney parks, and also talking about their shift into we know they're taking a bit of ownership around digital TV and TV streaming as well. So that's definitely going to be up for conversation. We've got Hermes. Not Hermes, the handbag company, Hermes, who are a logistics and delivery company.
Right.
My girlfriend was very disappointed to hear that it wasn't going to be the handbag company. So no, but they're talking about using smart devices, so using home assistants and smart devices to manage your actual shipping and delivery and logistics. And I mean, trust me when I say that is a very untapped space. If you don't believe me, go home and ask Alexa to help you book something or tell you about something. Invariably she doesn't know, and that really tells you that companies are not leveraging the search functionality within home assistants half as effectively as they could be. I think there's a really untapped potential within that. So we're going to hear from Hermes on that, and they've got a number of different talk tracks. We've got 4 main tracks covering smart assistants, data usage, and it's going to be focused on marketing, sales, service, and commerce. I think it's going to be a really fun day.
Yeah, like one of the things I like about what's going to happen on the day as well, there's going to be little breakout sessions, and John Foley's talked about how much he enjoys a good breakout session. But
genuinely,
the whole idea of attending MCX as well, it's having marketing there, it's having sales there, it's having service and finance there, so that you can maybe kind of split up and actually focus on the areas that are important to your business unit. You're going to have senior product specialists for these products as well.
That's a really big deal. The fact that all of them are flying over from the US, I that happens once a year, which is good at saying it happens once in a blue moon, right? So the fact that all of the US product team are flying over for the customer experience applications is a huge deal. So really exciting.
And what really interests me is Disney talk, because they're going into a flooded market now. So the importance of how data is going to actually pinpoint their strategy and the roadmap their strategy, it's going to be something incredibly interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that, as well as a breakout session.
Brilliant.
Well, look, I think we'll close it off there. Look, thanks very much, Sean,
Thanks for having me.
for taking the time to speak with us. A little bit longer than what we usually do, but in fairness, it was a huge amount to cover. Look, we're definitely going to get you back to have that data conversation. It's definitely and actually in a few weeks' time, I'm sure we're going to have more conversations where you can actually kind of give people some more insights around it.
Sure.
Look, please do get in touch with us. MCX is up there. Register. Go. Talk to us either individually or even just post. We're going to have them individually post within our LinkedIn and on our Twitter feeds. Look, continue to listen to us if you wish on Spotify or iTunes, and look, the video is going to be uploaded as well to YouTube. So, look, thank you very much, and
Until next time, have a productive week.
Thanks for listening. See you soon.
not supposed to say anything.
No.
You can cut me out.
I'm not.